we are going to take our lives in our own hands. We are going to join together and fight for what's right, which is what they're doing. And they're doing it freaking peacefully. And they're doing it all over the nation, not just in Alberta, not just in Ottawa. We've got some video of the convoy right here. Let's take a look at that. I mean, it's just, look at that. That is absolutely extraordinary what they're doing. Those are thousands of good people who are not out there because they hate trans people or have an irrational fear, I should say. They have an irrational fear of trans people, and that's why they're out there in the convoy. That's literally what Trudeau said and tweeted. They have an illegitimate fear of Muslims, and that's why they're out there. They're white supremacists. God, these people, the gall, like what, I don't know what could have happened to the human soul that could lead them to that place. But it's not just Justin Trudeau who's soulless. It really is not. You all know my favorite lady over in D.C., Jen Psaki. She's lying about what's happening up in Canada. Take a look.
So truckers in Canada last night shut down the Ambassador Bridge, which carries about a quarter of U.S.-Canada trading goods. So what's the administration's response to this action, and what steps are being taken to ensure the free flow of goods, and also any preventative steps being taken to address a possible blockade on the Michigan side of that bridge?
Well, let me first start by saying I know there's been some suggestion, not by reporters necessarily at all, but that this congestion is related to the vaccine requirements. It's not. I'm saying I'm going to get to the protests, but the protests going on across Canada, which have spread to a bridge, are leading to sporadic congestion and blockages.
All right, first off, I want to give her credit because she's actually dressed like a witch, and it's like a little on the nose. So good for you, Psaki. Now, interestingly, as per what she said there about the truckers and what's happening, there's this guy up in Canada who actually completely disagrees with her.
I think one of the things we all understand is just how frustrated everyone is. We're all frustrated. We're all sick and tired of restrictions, of mandates, of having to make sacrifices, of not being able to do the things we love. I can understand frustrations with mandates, but mandates are the way to avoid further restrictions or having to be restricted. As people get vaccinated, as Canadians have gotten vaccinated, we've been able to get through things. And this team is going to stay focused on doing exactly that.
We're all so frustrated. Nobody know how this thing happened. We don't know. Mandates are the way to freedom. Well, I don't know who did this. Who's in charge around here? I just have nice hair and I wear nice socks and people think that I'm a really nice guy, even though I'm an evil fuck. Okay, so I don't know how any of this happened. Here's Trudeau saying the complete opposite.
Individuals are trying to blockade our economy, our democracy, and our fellow citizens' daily lives. It has to stop.
Freaking individuals. Is there anything worse than individuals, peacefully doing stuff and saying that we're not going to bow to the king? Is there anything worse? Cleaning up garbage, shoveling snow, helping old people cross the street. Is there anything worse than individuals? Well, it's not just Justin Trudeau. I like that Justin Trudeau impression. What do you think? It's pretty good. I don't know how this happened. Somebody told me that something was happening. I talk like this, so it seems like I'm not evil or that I don't have bad intentions, but I'm really a frighteningly horrible person. It's not just Justin Trudeau, though, who is lying, flat out lying about the intentions and the motives and the actual reality on the ground that the truckers are doing. It's all of our mainstream media. We've got quite a compilation for you.
Sedition, insurrection, a threat to democracy.
This city is under siege. They are now calling it an occupation.
Alarming situation there in Ottawa.
The police chief is calling it a nationwide insurrection driven by madness.
This is kind of our insurrection by air horn moment. I think it's part of the globalization of Trumpism.
Canadians know where I stand.
There hasn't been as much violence as some had perhaps projected, but that does not necessarily mean that it has been peaceful.
Reports of severe vandalism and criminal behavior.
Streets are clogged. The honking is incessant and deafening.
This pandemic has sucked for all Canadians.
Residents that I have spoken to who say they feel terrorized intimidated.
Residents say they feel like hostages.
Residents in that area say that they are being held hostage, that this freedom has essentially, this Freedom Convoy, as they call it, has essentially imposed a lockdown on them.
Some protesters harassed a soup kitchen.
These anti-vaxxers actually took food from the mouths of the homeless.
Hungry, yeah.
Because they're so put upon.
There have not been any violent outbursts. However, horns have been honking for 12 to 21 hours a night.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
Many of them are holding Confederate flags.
I've heard there's QAnon supporters in the crowd.
We've seen swastikas. We've seen the Confederate flag. We've seen flags with Justin Trudeau, our prime minister, in a noose. Lots of Donald Trump flags as well. People chanting, "Let's go, Brandon."
It is actually one of the rare times in history you're going to see swastikas and yellow stars at the same protest.
What is a human? What is a human being? Like, what are those people doing? I can accept that a certain amount of them are brainwashed, and I can accept that a certain amount of them just want a gig, and it's nice to be on TV. They put makeup on you. You know, it's nice. They do your hair. They might give you clothes. I do my own hair. They do whack me with powder. I pick out my own clothes. But these people have sold their souls. I don't know how else can you describe human beings who lie as their main ethos, the main driver of what they do is to lie about people. I don't know how else you can describe it. They want there to be violence. You could, that one woman, there hasn't been a violence really, and you know, there's swastikas and we don't see any images of any of this. They showed one Confederate flag. There's Trump signs everywhere. Haven't seen those, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's something bad. These people are evil, and just juxtapose that with how they treated the actually violent riots that we had all over the United States of America for the last 2 years, except, you know, it was odd. I have to look into this. Why did all of those race riots stop the second that Joe Biden became president? Did we solve racism? Did we solve the policing thing and all the systemic stuff and all that stuff? Did we solve all that? Or could it be that that's actually the Democrats and the media working together to destroy Trump, and then they stop it when they need it to be stopped, and, you know, then their guy was in power? Crazy, right?